need any gimmicks here, bro. We are live, man. Well, WWE was getting silly with the Halloween Havoc. AEW put on a damn good show tonight, man. The World Title Eliminator Tournament. Semi-finals, we got Adam Hangman Page and my boy Wardlow. Kenny Omega and Pentagon Jr. Kenny and Pentagon absolutely tore the house down in the main event tonight on Dynamite. Cody Rhodes defended the most important title in all of pro wrestling right now, the TNT title, against Orange Cassidy in a rematch. This week, a little bit different. Lumberjack rules. What awaits Darby Allin at Full Gear? And the big one, man, is my girl Thunder Rosa going to WWE. Is she walking into hell on earth? You guys know how I feel about it. Jesse's gonna unload tonight. This is the AEW Dynamite post show on the only podcast you need on Wednesday night. This is Off the Script. What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Off the Script. This is your AEW Dynamite post show, as always, live, as live can be on your Wednesday night. This is Off the Script. Jesse, what is going on, man? What is going on? Dynamite kicked ass tonight. Great show. Was not live from the Daily's Place, but man, oh man, did we get a show that is lining up to make Full Gear probably the best AEW pay-per-view of the entire year, at least on paper right now, the best show of the year for AEW.
It wasn't live? Why wasn't it live?
It was taped.
I get it. If it wasn't live, it was fucking taped.
Duh.
Why was it taped?
I don't know. AEW's got that old Monday Night Raw Attitude Era kind of vibe going about it. They do one live and then they do one taped. I'm sure it's COVID-related reasons, but
one off, one on.
You know, it is. It's still a great show. It still has that live feel, even though it is taped. You know, normally when WWE, especially with their overseas shows, you know that they're physically taped. They don't feel the same. But it was a great show tonight. Like I said, it's really shaping up to have Full Gear be the best show of the entire year. What'd you think of tonight's show? What do you think of the direction overall as we go into the go-home show next week for the pay-per-view?
Man, it feels like they got a lot accomplished tonight. You know, they just went straight for it, man. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even see the Jericho MJF thing leading to a match at Full Gear. I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah, you know, that would probably be my last prediction on that. But I honestly think now with that stipulation and that match being booked, it actually adds more questions than anything. And it really takes this into even more of a direction that AEW can have fun with, because where we thought about it last week, now we're thinking about multiple different scenarios this week after that match announcement.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't see it. I mean, I would have saw, you know, maybe MJF and Sammy going at it, you know, to get in because they don't want him in. if Jericho's on the fence about letting the man, not letting the man, not sure, what is having a match with him himself gonna do? I mean, I would have, Santana had a problem with it, everything else, but let those guys face him. Make two of those guys face him and Wardlow or something like that. And what does this mean about Wardlow? Is he in the inner circle too? I mean, he gets MJF's championship apparently, so.
I would assume Wardlow is in the inner circle if MJF gets that far. But to your point that you just mentioned, I know Matt Hardy's doing the Elite Deletion against Sammy at the pay-per-view, and whatever you had just said, they're doing next week on Dynamite. They're booking Sammy Guevara and actually Ortiz of the inner circle against Wardlow and MJF next week because they are the only two guys that don't want MJF in the inner circle. So they're going to take care of him, and Jericho's just willingly letting it happen, which is a question in itself there. But they're not going to let MJF get to the pay-per-view. That's the whole thing going into next week.
Let's see where they go.
So that's definitely very interesting. The other thing that happened tonight with the major title right now in all of pro wrestling, to me, the one title that I think has the most prestige right now for it is the TNT Championship. Cody defended that title against Orange Cassidy. This is a rematch from their time limit draw a couple of weeks back, but we got a Lumberjack stipulation this week to differentiate this match from that one. I'm not a big Lumberjack rule type of guy, but with the match tonight, I was kind of disappointed with the match itself coming off their great 20-minute time, 20-minute time limit draw a couple of weeks ago. And I was kind of disappointed with the outcome of the match because I feel like Orange Cassidy deserves a lot better than what he was given tonight. He went from doing the time limit to getting a rematch against Cody, back-to-back matches with Cody for the TNT title, doing the whole Jericho thing, being put over there, looking great in defeat against Brody Lee, and now he's on the pre-show for Full Gear against John Silver. I don't really understand where that direction is going for Orange Cassidy. I was left very disappointed with the conclusion of that match. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, the conclusion, the match itself made no sense. I mean, I was one of those, let's give it a shot and see what they do. But it was a letdown, man. It kind of just fell flat. Kind of felt like it was almost kind of pointless. So I don't know. I mean, it just wasn't entertaining. I mean, that didn't help the argument of let's see what they do. Maybe we'll like it. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, me neither. So that was a down point of the evening for me, even though Cody has done a unbelievable job with that title, and Orange Cassidy's been one of the best things on pro wrestling television in 2020. Kenny Omega versus Pentagon Jr. in the main event of the show. We are slowly starting to see more and more of that Dick Omega come out, that prick Omega. It's very nice to see, and this was one of the best matches I think he's had all year with Pentagon, and it goes to show you how great Pentagon is when he is in the ring with somebody like Omega. I feel like this was probably the best match of his entire 2020 as well. He was actually replacing his brother Ray Phoenix, who was taken out of the tournament for precautionary reasons for a possible concussion, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. That was the main event. Adam Hangman Page versus Wardlow. That opened the show, so they bookended the show with both of those matches for the World Title Eliminator Tournament. Wardlow looked very good in defeat. Tonight we'll go over that. And then the Inner Circle and the Town Hall meeting with MJF, with the return of Eric Bischoff as one of the people there invited to ask both Jericho and MJF questions about this budding partnership. So we'll go over all of that, plus the news on Thunder Rosa. We've seen Serena Deeb tonight, the new NWA Women's Champion. It is no longer Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa's name has been circulating major in the rumor mill on the dirt sheets about where she is possibly ending up. I know Jesse has a lot to say about that tonight. We'll get right into that in just a second, but I want to thank you guys so much for joining us on Wednesday night. We love doing this every Wednesday. I'm happy to have Jesse here every single Wednesday, and we are going to kill this tonight, man. So thank you so very much for joining us. Hoop Media in the chat. Are we number one? I think it's pretty silly of me to even ask Hoop Media in the chat. My analyst, modding the chat. Are we number one tonight in the IWC? Let me know. And thank you guys so much for spending your Wednesday evening with us here tonight on Off the Script. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. You can follow Jesse as well. His Twitter handle is right on the screen there in front of you if you guys are watching live on YouTube. So follow us both on Twitter. Same thing with me on Instagram at JD from NY206. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. We are really trending upwards as far as subscriber growth here right now for the fall and winter months, man. Hoop Media says you're number one, but we need more likes. As always, we'll talk about that in a second. We are nearing 120,000 subscribers, guys, so thank you so very much. I can't do it without you. And you guys are the number one reason why this podcast is number one every single week. So make sure you guys do that for me. If you want to support Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206, mouthmasker.com. Go and get your masks, mouthmasker.com/OTS. We got the new black Off the Script face coverings in stock. If you guys want to go and buy a t-shirt as well, great way to support the show. Bonfire.com. That is down below in the description of this very video. If you missed any of the content that I've uploaded this weekend, Off the Script was absolutely fantastic this weekend, episode 348. We booked WrestleMania 37, so make sure you guys go and check that out. We actually partially booked SummerSlam as well in a very opinionated piece on Saturday's episode of Off the Script. And then Monday Night Raw, we talked about why nobody is interested in a Randy Orton Fiend feud for the WWE title, and that is the Fallout show from what I thought was a decent Hell in a Cell pay-per-view on Sunday. So if you missed any of that stuff, links are down below in the description. And today's show is sponsored by Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. You guys can sign up to Audible service, get 30 days free of their service, and one free audiobook of your choice. You guys can do that just for listening to the show. You're not doing anything, just signing up. That is audibletrial.com/offthescript. Let's get into this news, Jesse. Thunder Rosa is trending in the IWC, and I'm not really sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing as far as looking at it from a fan's perspective. WWE and AEW are both interested in Thunder Rosa. Now, if you guys don't know the story, before Thunder Rosa really just came into all of our hearts this year, there was stories going around that WWE was once interested in her. This was, I think, around the time when she was in Lucha Underground. She played Cobra Moon on Lucha Underground. And WWE wanted to bring her on in, not as a wrestler, but they wanted to bring her in as a female referee. Now, I don't know where she stood on that back in the day, but clearly she did not do that. And for the betterment of her career, she stuck with whatever she did. She did MMA. She has her own wrestling promotion. She has her own merchandise. She's pretty much self-made at this point, and she's gotten to where she's gotten right now through hard work and the love of the sport, which is why I think we all love her. Our number one reason why we all love her, because she's real, and she's gotten to where she is right now as far as success, because she is just a hard worker. Now, with what has happened here in the last couple of days, we have Serena Deeb dropping the NWA Championship to Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa is dropping all other championships that she's currently held. I'm not really familiar with any of the other championships that she's held, but she's dropped all of her major championships. There was somebody spreading a rumor in the IWC that she was closing up her promotion. That's not true whatsoever. She was actually on social media promoting her show tonight, saying that it was going to be one of the most important things she's done. So she's got her online shop as well. That's not closed down. She was promoting that online shop. She even addressed the rumors this morning, and put a link to a YouTube video to a song called Rumors. And that's all she said. It's just rumors at this point. But I think, Jesse, the first red flag we've seen here is Serena Deeb capturing the NWA Women's Championship. I mean, that obviously is going to throw fans into speculation mode. And of all things, Tony Khan didn't bring back Thunder Rosa with the NWA title. And instead, we got Serena Deeb promoting that championship on Dynamite. She's not Thunder Rosa, so clearly this is a major red flag in a string of things that I think is leading to Thunder Rosa joining WWE. Let's address this first. What do you think of Serena Deeb and not Thunder Rosa on AEW programming with the NWA title?
It felt like almost like a show of force. It almost felt like a symbol of. Here's the gist of it. We haven't seen Thunder Rosa on Dynamite or any AEW television since, I believe it was September 23rd, and that was a tag match against Ivelisse and Diamante. And we haven't seen her. We haven't heard of her. We've heard nothing about her. And then, she drops the title to Deeb, and then right away they're advertising Deeb. They're putting Deeb on TV. They're showcasing her and everything else. To me, it looks like she was unwanted on AEW television, and it looked like that the NWA wanted their women's title on AEW television, and AEW didn't want Thunder Rosa, so NWA switched titles right away, and they put Deeb on TV to promote the NWA women's title. I know about the rumors of her going to WWE. I mean, of course, that's always out there. She tweeted today and added AEW, which would be a huge no-no to a WWE employee. So that would never happen. So that doesn't mean she's not on the way. Maybe she hasn't signed yet. Maybe she is headed there. Everything is a maybe. But the fact is, she was held off TV from a company who was in dire need of women's talent. And she is one of the best women's talent out there. But they didn't want her on their TV. Title change, and they wanted their champion, and Thunder Rosa just left flapping in the wind. I don't think that she was invited back, to be honest. And I think that maybe she did get an offer from WWE. Maybe all of the stars aligned, but in the meantime, in the lead up to it, I don't think Tony wanted her back.
Well, listen. I know you expressed this to me earlier in the afternoon, and why don't you tell everybody why you think? Now, this is, by the way, folks, if you're listening to us, no matter where you're listening to us, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube right now, live in the chat, this is merely Jesse's just opinion on everything. This is not anything that's reported.
Yeah.
This is from his eyes only. So please take this as two dudes here on YouTube live talking about the things that we love and talking about somebody that we're both big fans of. He's seen something from his eyes, and I want him to express this to you guys right now. So, Jesse, tell everybody why you don't think Tony Khan, in your opinion, through your eyes, invited Thunder Rosa back to Dynamite.
So, like I said, her last match was on September 23rd. That match, but more importantly, the match the week before that, she went one-on-one with Ivelisse. Now, there were actually reports and rumors of there being heat backstage between Ivelisse and Thunder Rosa. I don't even think that's any kind of secret. But the problem was, during that match, there was a spot that was pointed out by pretty much everybody of Thunder Rosa sitting there no-selling, I believe it was a snapmare takeover from the corner, and she just looked like she was just sitting there being unprofessional. So I went back and rewatched that match, and what I found made me go back and watch more Thunder Rosa matches, and it was a lot of the same thing. Thunder Rosa does not like to sell when she... Let me rephrase that, because she'll sell very briefly. Her thing is she does not like to take offense. If you're in the know of how to produce a wrestling match, and you watch how it's choreographed, it's kind of textbook procedure, one would say. They plan the beginning, they kind of ad-lib the end, and then they have a planned ending. Well, in the middle, the wrestlers are supposed to tell a story, and the story that Thunder Rosa likes to tell is, I can't be held down, I can't be shook, I can't be hit, because every time that Ivelisse tried to get any offense on, Thunder Rosa would sell it quickly and then go right back to her offense and then expect to stay on offense. And Ivelisse picked up on that after about 5 or 6 spots. She got tired of it. So I went back and watched the match before that. I watched one with her and Piper Niven. I watched a bunch of her indie matches. And yeah, man, she does not like being on defense at all.
Neither does Ivelisse. I want to throw that out there too. Neither does Ivelisse. Like to an extent.
Well, here's the thing. Nobody likes it. I mean, it's one of those things where who likes doing something, but they're supposed to do it. You have to do it. Otherwise, who likes wrestling a match with you if all you want to do is be on offense? So let's stick to the match where she had with Ivelisse. Every piece of offense that Ivelisse tried to do, it was countered a move later. And then she would put her in a rest hold. And then Ivelisse tried to put her in a rest hold to try to slow everything down. And Rosa reversed that to put her in the rest hold. She couldn't even secure a rest hold. She does not like doing anything. If you get a second, go back and take a look at the Dynamite match in September. I believe it was the 16th or something like that, whatever that Wednesday was. And it's amazing. She does not like to be on defense at all. So you go forward to the next match that was on the 23rd, a lot of the same thing in that tag match where she was with Shida. After that, you don't see her anymore. But yet we see Ivelisse and Diamante every week, either on Dynamite or Dark, but every week they're on TV. But no Thunder Rosa. Those are the facts.
With Thunder Rosa possibly going to WWE, you know, in my opinion, when I first heard this story, I'm like, oh, here's another fucking rumor that is going to be blown out of proportion, and we don't have any information on it whatsoever. And if WWE is interested, I'm not surprised. I mean, no matter who is a free agent, and there really right now is not many to go around with the COVID shit going on. There's not many free agents in the world of pro wrestling. So, you know, when somebody's a free agent, WWE's going to have their grubby little hands in everything. And if it's to keep somebody away from an AEW, of course, they're going to double down on that. But with Thunder Rosa going to AEW or a WWE, we can sit here all day long and talk about, oh, how she would be great in AEW, how they can build the entire division around her. And if Jesse's, you know, opinion and speculation about this is somewhat correct, you know, and then you add on top of what Thunder Rosa really wants, maybe she's looking at the AEW women's division the same way that we're looking at the AEW women's division. The fucking NWA title has more TV time than Hikaru Shida on Dynamite. I mean, so she's probably looking at it through our eyes as well. Where is the build and the care for this division for me to come on in here and for you guys to build this division around me? They're not even building their division around Shida. So if you're Thunder Rosa and you're looking at offers on the table from AEW and you're looking at it through our point of view, where do you want to go? She's 35 years old. And right now, with NXT adding Toni Storm and Ember Moon and probably Tessa Blanchard for all we fucking know, Thunder Rosa going to NXT, my God, I don't think any promotion on this coast or the other coast can develop a women's division like that ever. That would be unbelievable. She's going to go there and she's going to test her ability. She's going to go there and prove to everybody why she really is as good as everybody thinks she is. And with the level of competition, it's going to be something that she fulfills for herself at this stage of her career. How long does she want to wrestle? We don't know. How long does she want to wrestle and then maybe go to MMA? Maybe she wants to split her time doing the MMA and the pro wrestling thing. We as fans are very greedy. You know, this is like watching two major sports teams. It could be the Mets and the Yankees, for example. If Thunder Rosa is the big free agent out there and she goes to the fucking Yankees, all the Mets fans are going to be upset. And vice versa. That's exactly what it is here. So no matter what she does, I'm going to support her. Jesse's going to support her. If it's in NXT, me personally, I think that's the extent of Thunder Rosa's growth. I can sit here and fucking do 3 hours of this podcast and just shit on WWE's main roster treatment of the women. If you ain't Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, or Bayley, or Asuka, you ain't getting fucking nowhere on that roster, in that division. So no matter where Thunder Rosa goes in WWE, NXT is the end of it. I'm telling you, I'm telling her right now, because I've been watching this shit, I've been doing this shit for 5.5 years now, 6 years. The women's division on the main roster is dreadful. They will never give Thunder Rosa the treatment that we all want her to get. This is going to be a battle she will lose. So as far as a career fulfillment, I get it. As far as career advancement, it's not there, Jesse. It's just not there.
No, it makes no sense, though. If you really think about it, she's the top of the division of a company with no TV exposure. So she ends up heading over to AEW with that title, where she's on national television every week. She's being praised as being one of the best and everything else. Tony has her. Tony Khan has her. She's on TV every week. He has her. How in the hell would he lose her in the WWE? There's just no way. If he wanted her, he would have her by now. He would have had her signed and locked up. I mean, but I could not see anybody that was being portrayed very well in a division that needs her on television to go to WWE, where she'll know she'll be Charlotte food. That makes no sense. I think she only had one offer. But again, this is all me. This is all me thinking this. This is just reading between the lines of what I see. I see the same things you guys see. I couldn't see Tony Khan having this lady on TV every week, and then she decides, nah, I'll go to WWE instead.
Well, if that's the case, then it honestly is all the answer that we need about what AEW thinks of women's wrestling. If they have Thunder Rosa now, and she's worked with AEW, and she's had nothing but great things to say about AEW, which would be a shoo-in. I mean, if they offer her a deal, I don't see why she wouldn't take it. I'm sure Tony Khan and her would sit down and negotiate a deal that makes everybody happy. It's either one of two things here. A, Tony Khan doesn't give a shit about building the women's division in AEW. Or B, Triple H offer her so much money that it would be fucking absolutely mental for her to turn it down, and she'd be set for life. But at that point, I mean, why are they offering Thunder Rosa all this money where nobody could counter it? And why do they want her so badly when, you know, if she slides on in there, she's got to build herself from the bottom up. You put her on that show right now, and you bring in Tessa, I'm not sure she's going to be a number one immediately. You slide her in there right now, she's not even a number 3 on that show. You got Io, you got Tony, you got Ember, you got Candice. I mean, you're in the top 5 barely. Is that what she wants?
Food, I believe is what it's called.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. But Tony Khan really needs to fucking buckle down. I understand people aren't watching AEW for women's wrestling, but I think we all understand that the division needs help. They need help. And you're not going to get help if you're letting Deonna Purrazzo go, Thunder Rosa go. You're not going to give Tessa Blanchard a look. I mean, I'd be throwing all 3 of those women money. And if WWE is willing to take all of them, why continue to make them rich when they don't need it? Why isn't AEW contending? I mean, I would be proud if AEW had those women and said, hey, you know, NXT's got all this praise about their women's division. Look at us. You know, we shouldn't be overlooked here. I don't really understand it unless they just don't really give a shit about women's wrestling and they've given up on the entire concept.
Think about this. WWE's women's division sucks. AEW's women's division sucks.
Yes, but I agree, Jesse, but for 2 completely different reasons. WWE, they don't book it correctly.
Yeah, AEW needs more talent. What's WWE's excuse?
They have the talent, and they just want the talent and don't give a shit about the talent. That's their problem.
Yep. You gave AEW WWE's women, and it'd be the best on the planet.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah. So this is a developing story, is the best way for me to put it. We will discuss this as we have more information right now. So I don't want to get too ahead. Those are our initial thoughts about Thunder Rosa, AEW, NXT, WWE, whatever you want to call it. But we will discuss this at a further date, at a future date rather, and we will talk about it when we have more information. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but it is a story that I know everybody was looking forward to hearing our opinion on right here on the post show for Off the Script. We got a lot of news here, and we are going to cover just some of this, get on into the show, and come back and hit the news. I know my boy Vandelli in the chat, he's a big Abaddon fan, and we were supposed to see, yes, I know, we were supposed to see Abaddon on Dynamite tonight against Tay Conti, but that match did not happen. Apparently, she got severely injured in a scary moment during the AEW Dynamite tapings last week, and it was reported that Abaddon suffered a serious injury that caused her to be hospitalized At the time of the injury, there was no word on what the injury was or what caused it, but Brian Alvarez had a positive update, some additional details on Abaddon. She took an elbow to the throat, which caused the match to stop because she couldn't breathe. AEW sent her to the hospital to get checked out, but it was said that she is going to be fine and will make a full recovery. Alvarez stated, and I quote, Abaddon got injured in the match with Tay Conti. Something happened and she took an elbow to the throat and couldn't breathe. Obviously, they stopped the match immediately and they got her to the hospital, and apparently she will be fine. So it was a scary moment, but that's what happened in the match. And the match was obviously taken off tonight's show. And the only other time we've seen Abaddon on AEW television was a match with Anna Jay, I believe, and a promotional match against Hikaru Shida back on AEW Dark in March. So news there. I know you guys were looking forward to Abaddon. She's in the standings somehow for the women's division. Maybe we'll see. I don't get it. Jesse doesn't get it. But maybe we'll see her on Dynamite after Full Gear when she makes a full recovery there. And
from this injury is number 2.
Yeah, she's number 2. I don't know, man. Listen. Dark is becoming very important for AEW, and they're taking everything that happens there and they're applying it to the standings, whether we see it on Dynamite or not. So that's the only thing there. And then we got Chris Statlander, injury update from Chris Statlander. She is out until spring 2021 as of right now. And there's a injury update on Statlander, who is, to me, one of the biggest pieces to the AEW women's division. She tore her ACL on June 10th on an episode of Dynamite, and she actually was interviewed by Wrestling Inc., and she noted that she might be out for another 8 months. Typically, when an athlete suffers this type of injury, it's projected that they are out 9 to 12 months. She says, and I quote, I'm doing pretty good. I think from what I've heard overall is that I might be a little bit ahead of others of where I am right now, but I still have a real long way to go before I can re-debut, basically, and get back in the ring before I'm debuting again, obviously, and I'm going to want to be training a little bit before that, so I'll be able to get in the ring before you'll see me back on TV. It could be another 8 months or so. So I wish her the speediest of recoveries, because she was definitely one of the bright spots in a very bleak AEW women's division. So that's the update there on 2 of their up-and-coming performers, both Statlander and Abaddon. And then we got the Thunder Rosa news. We'll talk about that at a future date when we have more information.
She was on BTE.
Oh, yeah, really? I missed this week's episode.
Nah, it wasn't this week. It was like last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. But she was recently on BTE. They did a skit with her.
All right. Well, hopefully she's in good spirits, and hopefully she gets back sooner rather than later. I know a lot of the times these wrestlers they kind of give you the projected time, and then all of a sudden we see them come back in half that time. So hopefully that's the case, and she's not really out another 9 to 12 months. So that would be really bad, because I was really getting to a point where she was one of the best things about the entire show, in my honest opinion. I love when she came out. I thought she added a lot to that women's division, and who knows? The title match at Full Gear could have been a lot different if she was actually still on TV. We might be looking at Statlander versus Shida at the pay-per-view instead of Shida versus Nyla Rose. So hopefully she gets back soon.
She lost that title, man.
Well, listen, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about that when we get to that part of the show. I know how you feel about that. Quickly, guys, again, thank you to Audible for sponsoring the show. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Sign up, get 30 days free, and 1 free audiobook on me and on Audible. So thank you to Audible for sponsoring the show. We go right at the top of the show here with Dynamite. They opened up with an interview with Dasha Gonzalez interviewing Wardlow and MJF backstage. MJF says if he wins the tournament, if Wardlow wins the tournament, he becomes the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Wardlow obviously had a problem with that. He didn't really say so, but you've seen it in his body language and in his eyes. He says, I become the AEW champion. Wardlow is under contract to me, so if Wardlow wins, his property is my property. MJF asked Wardlow to confirm, and He obviously did, but he didn't really want to. And MJF told Dasha he's a good guy. And then all of a sudden, Sammy Guevara walked up to MJF. MJF called him little buddy. And it was the most, in the most prickish of ways, he said little buddy, as if he's treating Sammy Guevara like a little kid. And he called him little buddy. He called him big guy. Sammy told him to cut the shit. He's not his little buddy. They're not friends. MJF said Sammy looks like he sells Adderall to middle schoolers. I legitimately laughed out loud at that one. I thought that was hilarious. MJF asked what he was going to do about this if he's so upset. When Sammy didn't answer, MJF asked if he was deaf. And Sammy got in his face and he said he's just thinking about what he's going to do about it, which obviously we will find out a little bit later in the show. So we got off hot with Dynamite with MJF and Sammy Guevara of the Inner Circle. We go right to Wardlow and MJF walking through the tunnel for their match with Hangman Adam Page. This is the semifinals of the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament. This went about 11 minutes. Jesse, this one was very predictable, but at the end of it all, I will say this, and I even said so on Twitter, Wardlow and the way that he is blooming on AEW Dynamite is one of my favorite things to see. I was not somebody who was very familiar with Wardlow this time last year. I'm like, this guy looks like a generic big guy. I don't really see much there. He's got a great look. You know, sometimes that doesn't translate to what these guys can do in the ring. We've seen him wrestle Cody Rhodes in that steel cage match, which I thought was fantastic. And fast forward a year later, and he's in this match with Adam Hangman Page in the semifinals of a world title opportunity. And he didn't look out of place whatsoever. Now, it's great to be in the ring with Adam Page, and Adam Page is that good of a pro wrestler where he can lead somebody like Wardlow to a good match. But Wardlow didn't look out of place. He didn't miss his spots. He looks very intimidating. I love his presence in the ring. He not only looks the part, but now he's slowly becoming, more and more of a complete pro wrestler. He's really blossoming on Dynamite.
He is. I'm kind of scared that they're moving him away from MJF a little too quick. It looks like he's benefiting from that mouthpiece because I don't know how well he'll stand on his own. But gimmick-wise, look-wise, and moves in the ring, Wardlow's gonna make it. He's gonna be all right in AEW. He's easily a future world champion. Easily. I just hope they don't, cut the strings a little too soon to let him fly, especially with all the, Lance Archer, and Will Hobbs and Brian Cage is out there. Hold them together a little bit longer, when they do let him go, obviously his first feud is MJF, but Wardlow's going to be a star. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I don't think they'll cut him too soon from MJF. I still think that pairing has a lot more life left to it, but I do think that when that time comes, it's going to be a major breakout performance for Wardlow. And I think that's, I think Tony Khan is handling this very well right now. And like I said, when that time comes, I think Wardlow's just going to break free and we're going to see a whole different version of Wardlow. And at that point, he may even be better than what we see now. So I'm looking forward to that. But this match with Page was very good for the open of Dynamite tonight. It went about 11 minutes. Page obviously was the predicted winner here. Very predictable as far as the outcome, but they made Wardlow look very good in defeat. Page fired off a shotgun dropkick right at the open of the bell. The action went to the floor. We got Wardlow spearing Page right through the barricade, which looked vicious. And that is pretty much what gave him the offensive attack early on. Page came back with an armbar over the ropes. Wardlow suplexed Page back in after Aubrey Edwards stopped that. Wardlow missed a senton. Page clotheslined Wardlow to the floor. He had a moonsault off the post. Typical Page. Back inside, Page hit a standing shooting star. Wardlow kicked out at 1. So there's Wardlow looking good in that match tonight against Page. Wardlow blocked a buckshot lariat and hit his own clothesline for a very close near fall. Wardlow hit the F10, but Page rolled to the floor before Wardlow could make a cover. Page then hit a fallaway slam off the top rope. I didn't know what these guys were going for. They were jockeying for position on the top rope. But afterwards, Page just launched Wardlow 75% from where he was standing on the turnbuckle all the way to the opposite side of the ring. Really nice stuff there. Big fallaway slam off the top rope. He hit one buckshot lariat. Wardlow did not go down. I think he went down to one knee, if I'm not mistaken, but he didn't fall back. And then Page ran to the opposite side of the ring, hit another buckshot lariat. This time Wardlow went down, 1, 2, 3, and Page, the predicted winner of this thing, he moves on to the finals on his side of the tournament brackets, and he's going to Full Gear, and he will face the winner of Omega versus Pentagon Jr. in the main event. So, very good match. What do you think of Page, Jesse? Is this with Omega, might as well talk about this now, is this with Omega, A, right? Did you want to see this happen now via this tournament, or did you want it to wait a little bit longer? B, what do you think this match is going to result in at the pay-per-view?
I have no idea who's going to win it. I mean, they both have the momentum and the story to go from there. Man, I would call it a fuck finish if it wasn't at a pay-per-view, to be honest. I mean, so I'll go Kenny. Man. It feels like they have more story to tell with Hangman and his redemption and everything else. And Kenny and this new cleaning gimmick can't lose right now. It can't lose right now.
Yeah, I'm actually going to double down on that as well. I'm going with Kenny Omega. I think Moxley makes it to Revolution with the title. And I think we get Omega versus Moxley at Revolution. Moxley loses the title in the same at the same pay-per-view. He won it against Chris Jericho. A full calendar year as AEW champion. I think that's all Moxley needs. And I honestly think with Page, I don't know where they go with Page via this storyline, but I do think, if you want to line up somebody to take that title off of Omega when the time comes, it could be Adam Page. Maybe he goes through a depression. Maybe he goes to the back of the line. He starts winning matches. Maybe we see this as far as what we got going on between these two is chapter 1. And then maybe next year sometime when Page is a lot better as far as a human being, because it looks like he's still drinking, he's depressed, he still wants Kenny, he's kind of iffy about fighting Kenny at the pay-per-view. Nobody knows his real emotions going into this thing. Maybe he finally breaks out on his own like Omega's breaking out on his own this year. Maybe that happens next year with Page, and we get Page versus Omega for the title and him taking the title off Omega.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. The community is upset because Kenny is not higher on the card, and the community is also enjoying backing chasing Hangman.
Yeah,
everybody likes Hangman right now. Everybody, he's going through his lows. Everybody can relate to Hangman. Mm-hmm. People are gonna clamor to see Hangman kick Kenny's ass one day.
Yeah, and I think with the fans coming back, hopefully. It's sooner rather than later. Hangman was the most over guy in the entire company. So I'm assuming that's going to continue when we have more and more fans at these shows, because they were absolutely on board with whatever they were doing with Hangman.
Before we go any further, can we address the bomb that we got in the super chat? I'm getting yelled at by Hoop Media over here.
I seen it. Let me check who it was. It was Anthony Pride with the $100 super chat. Anthony Pride, you motherfucker, man. Thank you so much for the 100 bomb. We were going to get to the super chats. Listen, guys, the super chats are open. We were going to give Anthony the floor at the end of the show. I might as well just shout it out now. He says, with this $100 bomb, thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate the love and support here. He says, for Jesse, with Pillman Jr. and Garrison, and Red Velvet both getting wins on Dark, who would be your top 5 to get a push? Mine are in no particular order. Kylan King, Cesar Bononi, M. Badu, WWE Bailey Squeeze, Aaron Solo, and Nick Camarato. Reminds me of Bruiser Brody. So the floor is yours, Jesse, if you want to. I know you watch Dark, and I know Red Velvet impressed me very much a couple of weeks ago in her match on Dynamite. And I know you are an avid AEW Dark watcher, so who would be your top 5 to get a push?
I can't think of a top 5 on Dark. The thing about Dark, here's the thing. you can tell in one episode who's getting ready to be pushed. That's why you usually get a text from me just out of the blue. Hey, this person's gonna. I sent you a text. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Spears, Sean Spears. Spears is 13-2.
Yeah.
This guy's gonna be on TV soon, getting a push. And sure enough, here he is now.
And the first thing that they mentioned was his record.
His record right away. Because I mean, you can tell right away once they start mentioning the things on Dark, but on the commentary, and they start pushing them, it's going straight to Dynamite. So I don't know if I have 5, but I do have a top 2, and it is Aaron Solo. He did look pretty good, and like I said, I told you before, once the word starts getting around that that's Bayley's fiance.
Yeah, WWE was gonna be like, "Oh, where's that contract? Let me get that contract ready."
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, that's one Tony Khan is not letting go. So, he's not letting Solo go over there.
Now listen, I haven't watched Dark. You watched Dark. Is he decent in the ring?
He's good. He is good, man. He is definitely.
He's not better than Pamela though.
No. His fiance is definitely a better wrestler than he is. Yes, easily all day. But yeah, he's good. Aaron Solo and the other one. I mean, I don't even think it's a prediction at this point. But Red Velvet, man, she has the rocket pack in the women's division right now. She went from enhancement talent to getting on Dynamite to back to Dark, getting her own enhancement match to now being in a legit storyline feud with Brandy Rhodes, the chief brand officer of the company, man. So they see a lot in her, and they are giving her a rocket pack in the women's division right now.
So there you go. Anthony Pride with the $100 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. And hopefully that is the answer that you had requested via Jesse here on the post show on Off the Script. Again, thank you so much, man. We will tackle the super chats at the end of the show, guys. So if you want to send them on in, you guys can certainly do that. We will go over them at the end of the show. Everybody's favorite, Eddie Kingston. He came out after a Jon Moxley promo. Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston is the main event of Full Gear for the AEW title I Quit match. Moxley had a great vignette talking about making the AEW title the number one prize in the sport, which I honestly think he and Cody have both done a tremendous job with the AEW and TNT titles, both. He said Full Gear isn't about the AEW title, it's about him. He said he won't be defending the title, he'll be weaponizing it. He said he'll have to say the words I quit, and he'll be alone with his ego, talking about Eddie Kingston. He said he crushes windpipes, skulls, and egos. Protect your neck, Eddie, said Jon Moxley. So Eddie Kingston came out, and he had a microphone in his hand, which is his most dangerous weapon. How dare the world champion not be here on Dynamite, he says. He wants to fight, but Moxley has decided to sit at home. So then he told the camera guy who was in the ring to get out of the ring because you never trained to be here. And he didn't say anything to Justin Roberts, who was in the ring, but I guess everybody likes Justin Roberts. He said he never was eliminated, by the way, from the Casino Battle Royale. He looked over at Lance Archer, who was sitting in the crowd with Jake the Snake Roberts. Hi, Lance, says Eddie Kingston. He said he hopes Moxley is watching from home, and Shivani added how terrible of a human being Mr. Eddie Kingston is. So we got a squash match here of sorts for Eddie Kingston before the pay-per-view. Next week, it is confirmed it will be Eddie Kingston versus Jon Moxley face-to-face. That should be something to behold on Dynamite on the go-home show. His opponent and victim tonight was Matt Sydal. So we got Matt Sydal here on Dynamite. Pretty much a squash match. 7 minutes. Kingston wins. We go to commercial break. Kingston was in control. Sydal made a small comeback, landing a standing back moonsault. He took Kingston down with a high knee to the chin for a 2 count. And I really love the fact, Jesse, on commentary. This is why I love the knowledge of Jim Ross and just the veteran presence of Jim Ross. He was pretty much telling everybody on commentary that Eddie Kingston cannot lose this match, which does 2 things. Number 1, it makes the world title match that much more important at Full Gear. And number 2, it doesn't necessarily bury Matt Sydal coming on in as a newcomer, because Matt Sydal is a veteran in himself. Eddie Kingston can lose this match at any moment, and he just kept on saying on commentary, Eddie Kingston cannot, take this guy lightly. He cannot lose this match. He's got a title match and the momentum going into Full Gear. And like I said, it also brings Matt Sydal into a good light as well, because he's no pushover.
I think Matt Sydal's still trying to climb out of that hole he buried himself in when he debuted.
You mean the lifelong gift that he's now that he's now on Twitter?
Yeah, the 2020 Shockmaster debut. Yeah, man, it's not good. He'll be fine. It was just a funny start. He'll be fine. He's awesome.
He'll be good. I don't know if he's necessarily going to end up with AEW, but I'm happy to see him back on the show tonight. So after I hope so.
He will. He's on. He's already on BTE and everything. He's fine.
Okay, good. We got a 2 count there, high knee to the chin by Sydal. We got Eddie then putting Sydal in a bulldog choke for the quick tap out here. Solid roll for Sydal here. Not really all that, I would say, exciting, knowing that Eddie Kingston's going into the pay-per-view. He needs a win. But Kingston, with the help of the bulldog choke, he held it on for another 30 seconds. The bunny, who was out there with the butchering blade, got into the ring with a microphone, held it up to Sydal's lips, and he was calling, Kingston was calling Sydal Moxley, almost as if he was in a trance, and he was just focused in on, injuring Sydal, and he had these visions of doing that to Moxley, that he was calling Sydal John Moxley. He was saying, "So I quit, say I quit, John Moxley." And he was saying this to Sydal, who eventually said, "I quit," into the microphone. And then Shivani added, "That's not Moxley, that's Matt Sydal." And Ross said that he was simply sending a message. Bizarre, but he was sending a message. So I really like that. And that face-to-face next week is going to really be something to see with Moxley and Eddie Kingston on Dynamite. We got Excalibur interviewing the Young Bucks in person. Now, this was a dual interview with the Young Bucks and FTR with Tully Blanchard. They were not in the same room after what had happened last week in the main event, where Matt Jackson's knee got destroyed. It got Pillmanized by FTR. So Excalibur sat with the Young Bucks, and then FTR sat by themselves with Tully in a separate room. Excalibur asked about the ankle. Matt said his ankle is fine. Nick says he can't even play with his kids. Excalibur asked FTR why they'd put this dream tag team match at risk by attacking his opponent's ankle. Dax said they're not worried about the internet. They're not worried about dream matches. They want to retain their championships. So Excalibur said he's known them for years. They said yes. That's why he has a job and gets paychecks. Matt said he and his brother like to see themselves as regular good people. And sometimes good people do bad things. He said while they aren't proud of what's gone down lately, he says they regret it. They regret it. He says there's been a spark and an edge missing, and they couldn't quite put their fingers on it. He says once FTR, started being pricks and began messing with their heads, something in them changed. The old Young Bucks are back. I don't like the way I feel, but this is the way I feel. So FTR interrupted and said, listen, this fucking geek Excalibur is asking the Young Bucks all these questions. Why are they even here if you're not asking us questions? So they got up, they pulled their microphones off, and they said, we'll see you boys at Full Gear. Nick says Matt thought of a crazy stipulation. And Jesse, we'll get to this in a second because I didn't ask you of your opinion on this. I don't like this at all. Matt explained that they were 2 poor kids from Southern California. He said they built their own ring and bet on themselves, and they always came through. Then Matt Jackson says that if the Young Bucks do not win the AEW Tag Team titles at Full Gear, they will never challenge for the AEW Tag Team titles ever again. And Excalibur said the stakes have somehow gotten higher. Jesse, did the stakes get higher, or did the stakes just become overly predictable?
I don't know anymore. Only because didn't we get Cody agree to never challenge for the world title again? And he lost.
Yeah, and that's been in effect ever since that stipulation was made.
Right. So and sidebar, what is all this talk about Cody going up in weight and moving up in weight class? For what? For what?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm waiting.
Well, he's the giant killer now. That's why.
I'm waiting to see where they're going with this. For what? I mean, to be a heavyweight TV champion?
Listen, bro, don't put it past Cody. He's not gonna let go of that stipulation. There'll be something that they do to make sense of it that gets him out of that situation. But to me, I think this is overly predictable to say the Young Bucks are never gonna get a title match ever again. I could see if they worded it as, we won't get a tag team title match as long as FTR are tag team champions. But I mean, it just gives away the fucking match on November 7th. They have to win. Because nobody believes the Young Bucks are not going to challenge for the tag team titles again. They're the best tag team on the planet.
I don't know what's going to happen. Because, what are they going to do? Take the titles off of FTR this quick?
I would hope not.
That'd be pretty bad, too. So, but this is not like Cody and the TV title and the world title. Cody can't go for the world title, then he'll just hang around the TNT title. What are the Bucks going to do if they can't go for the tag team titles?
I don't know. Nothing.
The only thing I can think, I know what titles they can go for. I've been telling you this every week. I think they're getting ready to introduce trios titles. And when they get Hangman back in the fold, Hangman and Bucks, trios champions.
And then who's with FTR? Cody?
The FTR are the tag team champions. They should remain that way.
I could see that happening. But I just feel like this extra stipulation is an added layer to a match that really didn't need anything but the match.
Yeah, it sounded like an awesome stip, maybe on their rematch. But on their first match, so what are we to believe here? That they're only going to, I don't know.
Now, I will say this. It's obviously there for a reason. And from what we've come to know and love about AEW, they do everything with a strategic reason in mind. It's got to be there for a reason. I'm not seeing it right now. All I'm seeing is something overly predictable with the Young Bucks and FTR at the pay-per-view that I don't think needs to be there. But I could see your point being right, though. I could definitely see trios titles being introduced in AEW. I don't think it's needed. I really don't, but I could see it.
They're forming a lot of trios teams on Dark, man. And a lot of mentions of trios matches and trios records and everything else.
I know Lucha Underground had the trios championships. That was one of the more entertaining aspects of that show when it was on El Rey. But, I mean, I would have to see it in execution first to then embrace it. But I could absolutely see that happening, but I think this is an added layer right now that I'm not really thinking of anything else but predictability here. I think the Young Bucks win the titles. But then again, if they don't, AEW does everything with a planned reason in mind, a strategic reason in mind. I do think that stipulation is there for a reason. What that reason is right now, I don't know. Maybe you guys can uncover it in the chat, talk about it amongst yourselves, but that is what happened on Dynamite. Yeah. The match is made. Should be a great match, no question. But yeah, I do think with the added, also Jesse, what I do think with this added stipulation is it kind of plays into the Young Bucks character as far as them becoming a little bit more intense, a little bit more edgy. The old Young Bucks are back. Maybe it's also there to show everybody how exactly how far they will go to get the tag team titles. How far that is, I don't know. What are they going to do? I don't know. But it could play into their whole attitude adjustment as well.
Yeah, no, but I don't see FTR losing those titles, man.
Neither do I. But it's going to be a great match at Full Gear. And, if you guys have any information on that, opinions on that, sound off in the chat. The chat is yours. The Town Hall was next, and we got a almost like a news network type presentation for this. Shivani and Dasha Gonzalez sat at the table, and they were moderating like people would be moderating these political debates that we've been seeing. They introduced Jericho first. He came out with Santana, Ortiz, and Sammy Guevara. No Jake Hager. Jake Hager's getting ready for a fight. Crowd sang Jericho's song as always. MJF came out next. And we had questions from several people on the AEW roster. Luchasaurus walked up to the microphone first, and he said he was a representative of dinosaurs and medieval historical backgrounds, and he understands the effects of economics changing over time in society. He asked MJF how he could contribute to the earning potential and ensure the continued financial prosperity of the Inner Circle. MJF had a graphic all ready to go, and he showed the earnings that will shoot up after he joins the Inner Circle. And the chart showed, Inner Circle trending upwards, and then MJF was just skyrocketing them to financial fucking prosperity. And the chart made no sense, but MJF said, listen, you fucking geeks, it's math. Just look at it. Me equals money in the Inner Circle. So then Reba and Britt Baker walked up. I'm sure you'll love this one. Reba talked about how handsome Jericho was. She was kind of drooling over Chris Jericho. She said, when Jericho smiles, it's great. Baker said, you don't need to be a dentist to know that MJF has had a terrible track record when it comes to friendships in pro wrestling. Jericho says he's aware of MJF's past, but he's not a dipshit like Cody Rhodes is. He said they're not actually letting him into the Inner Circle, so he doesn't know their strategies. That's what Jericho said to both Reba and Miss Britt Baker here. He stood and said if MJF turns on him and the Inner Circle, they'll kick his friggin' teeth down his throat. MJF assured them that he wouldn't turn on them. He said they got into the profession for some reason, and that reason is money and championships. He said together they'll get a whole lot of green and a whole lot of gold. Peter Avalon then walked up to the microphone. He didn't ask a question. He just begged to be in the Inner Circle, and then they all laughed at him, which was rather funny to me because Avalon just looked like a fucking desperate geek out there, and he just got turned down from the Inner Circle. And then next was the main event here. It was Eric B. of Cody, Wyoming. So then all of a sudden we see Eric Bischoff make his second appearance on Dynamite, and he had a 3-stage question here for both MJF and Chris Jericho. He said on January 20th, 1961, President John F. Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He then asked MJF what he can do for the Inner Circle. MJF said his question was powerful. So he has a one-word response to Mr. Eric Bischoff, and it's a powerful response. He said, friendship. And that's all he said. Bischoff nodded, and then Bischoff asked MJF what he believes the Inner Circle can do for him. He took exception with Bischoff calling him nearly a total package. MJF said, listen, Mr. Bischoff, let's be frank here. I am the total package. But he said he might not be the best team player, but he firmly believes that once he joins the great men in the Inner Circle, he could learn how to be a team player. Bischoff says he's worked with Jericho for years, and most would argue with him that he's a prima donna. Jericho says, whoa. I'm a prima donna? I knew there was a reason I didn't like you, Bischoff. So Jericho took exception to this. Schiavone told Jericho to shut up and let Bischoff speak. He has the floor. So Tony Schiavone got very boisterous here, which was nice to see. Bischoff asked how MJF can guarantee that he and Jericho won't end up killing each other if he joins the Inner Circle, which I think was everybody's mindset going into this. MJ said this is all preposterous. He said he's a good person. He came out here as a leap of faith. Jericho asked him to answer the question. How can we be sure that you won't stab us in the back? MJF then stood up and got angry. He met Jericho face to face. He said, Chris, let me ask you a question. He said, I've done everything right and have checked every single box in recent weeks. I've created great television with you, offered presents, and gave him the best segment of the show last week. Not only the show, but his entire career. He asked Jericho, what exactly haven't I done? So Jericho said, you haven't beaten me, but I'm going to give you a chance to do that at Full Gear. Jericho says if he beats him in a one-on-one match, he will allow him to join the Inner Circle. MJF was very appreciative and nervous at this offer. He said this is his biggest opportunity in life. So I'm not sure how that translates to being the biggest opportunity in life when he just had an AEW World Title match against Jon Moxley. But he doesn't take it for granted. MJF says he will do anything to win. And he said in a very strange tone, anything to win. So then Sammy and Ortiz obviously got up and said, we don't want you in the Inner Circle. Santana is iffy on this. And Hager is not allowed to be here because he's training to be in a fight. He said he and Sammy want to face him and Wardlow next week. and he won't make it to the pay-per-view. Ortiz shrugged at Jericho, and they followed Sammy and Santana out of the ring as MJF just stood there, just kind of assessing the entire situation. Jesse, I like this segment. I like the match being made for Full Gear. It rounds out Full Gear very nicely. I think with the backgrounds of both MJF and Jericho, on paper at least, we have to see how it will be in execution. This could be a very old school type of match. I think this is the type of match that Chris Jericho honestly should be having at this stage of his career. This could really give MJF another platform to show exactly how good he is by working with Jericho. Jericho, on the other hand, has had his hand in building up many a star in the first year of Dynamite, and MJF is his next pet project here. What do you think happens? And I'm not even sure if you're going to have an answer to that question. I don't even know. I'm honestly just enjoying the ride here. But do you see MJF in the Inner Circle, or do you see something along the lines of this actually breaking up the Inner Circle and MJF won't even be involved with them?
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm not sure where they're going with this. I go a step further. I'm not even overly that interested in the match, to be honest. To be very honest with you, to see MJF versus Jericho, I'm more interested in the story. I'm interested in the story to see where it's going. But I don't know. Not to say that the match won't be good. I just never had the dynamic in my head to want to see it. I mean, especially a heel versus heel dynamic right now. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean, but I do want to see where they're going with it. A match, I don't know. It feels like it would kind of be weird, especially at the end of it when, like, okay, if this guy wins, okay, now you're in the... This doesn't make any sense as far as the match goes. Maybe it'll still be awesome. I mean, there's nothing wrong with these guys as workers individually. They're both awesome. But just two heels going at it to join the heel stable, it kind of makes no sense almost.
Well, it doesn't make sense because in Jericho's point of view, if we're looking at this through Jericho's eyes, why would he be risking the Inner Circle and giving MJF an opportunity to join when he knows he has three guys behind him and Santana, Ortiz, and Sammy, who are the Inner Circle, who are not happy with this? Why is he giving MJF the opportunity while risking at the same time losing the Inner Circle? Yeah, that's why it doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense. If he joins, you already have 2/3 of your group unhappy that he's there. I mean, it just makes no sense. So we'll see where they go with it, though.
Yeah. The match on paper sounds very interesting, even though it is a heel versus heel dynamic. I don't really think that matters as much because we're seeing that up and down the Survivor Series card in November. It's all, heel versus heel or babyface versus babyface at the Survivor Series.
That show doesn't make any sense either. So
no, listen, I don't even want to get into that. It's a whole another fucking 3 hours of a show. But this on paper sounds very interesting. I do think that this will be a great match, but the story, it's got me a little confused right now. And we will see where it goes. That's all I can say. I genuinely have a lot to say about something that I'm really intrigued by. I don't have anything here. So if you guys have anything, maybe give us a hint about where this could possibly be going. In your opinion, sound off in the comments. The use of Bischoff here, I don't know how anybody else thinks about this, but I'd like to see more Bischoff on AEW television. I don't know what you think about Jesse or about this, Jesse, or do you think him on Dynamite is better in small doses?
I like the small doses. I think a lot too much Bischoff, people will start complaining, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with him though, to put him in a spot to be reoccurring like that. Because if you make him an authority figure, where is he every week? And if you make him an authority figure, since we know half the talent in the main event scene are all executive VPs, where does Bischoff land in that?
Yeah,
it's kind of a weird dynamic. I'd like to see him a little bit, but I don't know where to put him, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to put him with anybody. I don't want to make him a GM or anything like that, because then when all of the bullshit happens, he's looking around like, well, where was Bischoff for this? So I don't know, but I don't dislike Bischoff. I like seeing Bischoff, but I don't want them to overkill him. That's all.
Yeah. I got some news here, not only on Jericho and MJF, but I actually got news on Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara's match, the Elite Deletion at Full Gear. Let's start with this Le Dinner Debonair on Dynamite last week. According to Meltzer, it was revealed that the Le Dîner Debonair was MJF's idea. The segment with both him and Jericho went through several revisions before making it to air. It was said that MJF got the idea to do a musical segment while watching the movie Rocket Man. He actually used an Elton John song for the segment, but for whatever reason, Jericho chose Me and My Shadow, probably because it was cornier, says Dave Meltzer. So the Le Dîner Debonair will likely be remembered by a lot of fans as something very memorable when they look back at the year for Dynamite. It was very polarizing in the community. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. Some people loved it and hated it at the same time. It was crazy, the amount of feedback that it got, but it did exactly what they wanted it to do, and it got people talking. They also received permission, both Jericho, MJF, and Tony Khan with AEW. They received permission from the Frank Sinatra estate for the parody of this segment. It took 7 hours to shoot the entire segment. They were up until 2 a.m. on Wednesday morning filming the segment, and Jericho revealed that they did not have the full song and dance number edited together until 22 minutes prior to Dynamite going live. So that is the backstory from the Le Dîner Debonair before Dynamite last week. So that is that. If you guys want to know what happened, that's the backstory there.
Did you see Rocket Man?
I have not seen Rocket Man. I've only seen everybody parodies Rocket Man. Dynamite did it. Family Guy did it. So maybe I should watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, Rocket Man was phenomenal, man.
Details on the Matt Hardy-Sammy Guevara match. We got a location nailed down. And Matt Hardy confirmed via his YouTube channel the match will actually take place at the Hardy compound. And based on the location of this match, we will be obviously thinking along the lines of a cinematic match similar to the Hardys' deletion matches back in Impact. Given some of the moments that were created with these deletion matches, this could be great for both Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. It would be in a contained environment. It could be edited nicely so that they don't go out there and fucking kill each other. And I think this is the best way to go about it, Jesse. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it is easily the best way. They can do a lot more bumps that way. They can make them safer. They can put padding down. They can put a mattress down, and you can do bumps galore in a cinematic match. But the live matches with Hardy are just getting too cringe, man. They're just getting too scary to watch. It's not fun anymore. Same thing for Jeff. I don't even like watching Jeff Hardy in a ring anymore. I mean, these guys scare me more than they entertain me, which is not fun.
Yeah, I feel that same way about Jeff. Not for that reason, though, because he isn't doing anything where he's killing himself, but Jeff doesn't look the same. He doesn't look the same to me anymore, and I think that's just the WWE effect. They weigh you down to a point where you are not important anymore. So that's that. With Matt Hardy, he's going to be given the platform to do what he wants to do, but I don't want to see him take another bump like that for the rest of my time watching Dynamite or whatever promotion he ends up in after this. I don't want to see it ever again.
Yeah.
TNT title. To me, the most prestigious title in all of pro wrestling as of late. Cody's done a fabulous job with this title. This is a rematch with Orange Cassidy from a couple of weeks ago where they went the time limit, 20-minute time limit. And coming out of that draw, we now have part 2 of this match, and part 2 is now a Lumberjack match. I hate Lumberjack matches. I think they're fucking corny. I think they're cheesy. I don't think that they should be used to further along a feud or a storyline. I just think it's just silly. It's not chaotic. It's chaotic in a bad way. It's not chaotic in a good way. That's just my take on it. I think every time we see a Lumberjack match, it's the same fucking thing. You got heels and baby faces, and they all pile up, and then they all get taken out like bowling pins. It's so cringe. So the story here was that the babyface Lumberjacks were on one side, the heel Lumberjacks were on the other side. They had their loyalties obviously split, with Cody and Orange Cassidy being there just to create chaos. Cody got into it with the best friends on the floor. Trent hit Cody with a right hand, allowed Cassidy to establish an early advantage in this match. Cassidy hit a delayed vertical suplex. Cody cut Cassidy off, And he used a single leg Boston Crab early on, worked Cassidy over during a commercial break. Cody hit a superplex off the post onto a bunch of lumberjacks that were brawling on the outside because of whatever happened during the match. That looked okay because it looked crazy how Orange Cassidy was just fucking so high up in the air, and then these guys come off the top rope to the outside, taking everybody out. They all fought amongst themselves after that. Cassidy hit a stun dog millionaire, and my God, a absolutely devastating tornado DDT where Cody just fucking caved his neck in. Jesus Christ, that was a near fall. He got a beach break for a 2 count, and he couldn't put Cody away. So some of the lumberjacks took the referee. They were distracting the referee. John Silver jumped in. He hit a big pump kick on Cassidy. Cody didn't see the kick, but he took advantage of it. He hit Crossroads and pinned Orange Cassidy and retains the TNT title. All while Darby Allin was watching from the upper deck of the building. So now it's set. It's Darby Allin versus Cody Rhodes for the TNT title, which I'm assuming everybody in the chat honestly thought was going to happen. But Jesse, what do you think of the outcome here? I mentioned it briefly in the beginning. We go from Orange Cassidy being put over by Jericho. Obviously, the Brody Elite thing, he looks strong in defeat for the TNT title. Challenges Cody, goes the time limit, gets a rematch. We get the Lumberjack match, and then he gets taken out by John Silver. And then Orange Cassidy now is going one-on-one with John Silver at the Full Gear pre-show. So why didn't AEW do the right thing here and continue Orange Cassidy on an upward swing and give us another time limit draw? This is the way I would have booked it. Maybe they have a different idea in mind. I don't know. I don't necessarily think this is the right idea. Another 20-minute time limit draw. No lumberjacks were needed. You showcase Cody. You showcase Orange. You showcase the TNT title. I think everybody, even now in a second match, is accentuated even further. We get another time limit draw, and you give us the right match at the pay-per-view, which is Orange versus Cody versus Darby. And Darby could pin Orange in the match, and Cody necessarily doesn't have to take the pin to lose the championship. That's just the way I do it. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I would probably do it that way too, to be honest. It's again, this falls under one of those. I'm not sure where they're going with this type deals because I'm not sure why they took that title off for Brody Lee right now. I'm not sure why.
Who we haven't seen on TV, by the way.
Right. Well, this is true as well. So maybe there's a reason why he needed to be off because he's not on TV anymore. He's not on BTE either. So I don't know where Brody is, but they're kind of all over the place, especially with Orange. I'm not sure. The thing I will say though, I don't think being on the pre-show necessarily means anything because they have a tendency to move talent all over the radar. You'll see top guys on Dark. You'll see top guys on this show, on that show. They rotate everybody around because there's only one show. But so I don't think it's an issue that Orange is on the pre-show, but it is an issue that they're stopping and starting his push. You know, I mean, so if they're gonna push him. I mean, if not. I mean, why the up down? That part I don't get myself. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Cody was cocky early. Arn was playing the role of telling Cody to focus. But Arn, Jesse, seen Cody take advantage of this, and that's not really what a champion is supposed to do, especially if you're the babyface champion here as far as Cody Rhodes is concerned. Cody might not have realized it, and he just had retaining the championship on the mind, but Arn didn't really say anything even after the interference and the big kick by John Silver that aided Cody winning the match. I mean, is this conflicting signals? Is this maybe kind of teasing Cody turning at some point? Do you see this factoring into anything at all in the future of Cody Rhodes, or is it just something that was just there and it should not be acknowledged?
I think one thing we need to acknowledge is how awesome John Silver is.
Yeah.
That guy is awesome, man. I'm sorry. That guy is just great at what he does. He has a ceiling. He's not going to be as awesome as far as a main eventer, but that guy's entertaining, man. I like John Silver.
Listen, John Silver's a great fucking pro wrestler. I remember, God rest his soul, his anniversary's coming up. Matt Travis, rest in peace, my brother. You know, Matt Travis and John Silver. Matt Travis's last match that I called in House of Glory was against John Silver. I remember management coming to me and asking me who I thought Matt Travis should go up against at the pay-per-view. And I know John Silver was in a couple of our shows at House of Glory, and I mentioned the name John Silver because I was so impressed with his physicality and how fucking just intense he is. And I'm like, that would mesh well with Matt in a House of Glory ring. And lo and behold, they went 15 minutes and they fucking tore the house down. Absolutely fucking great. John Silver, hopefully he can get an opportunity to show what he can do against Orange Cassidy, because I don't think a lot of people realize, with the comedic stuff going on and him showing his charisma in the Dark Order on being the elite, when you see John Silver in the ring, I want you guys to focus on how great of a pro wrestler he is, because he really is that good.
That guy's awesome. At the very bare minimum, he is the star of BTE every week.
Afterwards, the Gun Club, Billy and Austin Gunn attacked the Dark Order. They showed Darby in the stands like I mentioned, and we got a six-man tag with the Dark Order, the Gun Club, and Cody booked for next week's Dynamite. Marvez, he interviewed the best friends, Miro and Kip Sabian, walked up and said that they forgive him forgive them rather, for destroying the video game arcade machine. And they had Penelope Ford present them with a wrapped gift of some kind. Miro and Sabian attacked them. They fought into the locker room. Sabian said that they're not forgiving them. They're idiots. Miro says that they will never forgive Chuck. And then they revealed the gift was a video game controller base board. Jesse, what do you think of AEW handling Miro so far? Could it be done a lot better, or do you like that they're slow burning him in this little storyline with Kip Sabian, the best friends, and then, when the time is right, they'll break him out as the fucking Bulgarian brute?
Yeah, I don't think they have any direction for him right now. They just have him on TV just to keep him around and on TV. You bring somebody in and just put him in a storyline with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, and he's supposed to be a high-end prospect. Look, I don't want to say it like they don't have anything for him right now in the sense of, he's being wasted or they don't want him, they don't need him. They have a lot going on in their upper card right now. They have a lot going on in the card right now. We just got done talking about what's going on with Kenny, what's going on with Hangman, what's going on with Moxley, what's going on with Arch. And then you want to throw in Miro? They just don't have room for him right now. And even in the TV title, even that's all tied up with 4 or 5 people. They just don't have a spot for him as far as a title feud goes. So they got him in something. They got him on TV every week. We could be grateful for that. But right now it's going to be a marinating process for Miro.
Yeah. I read an interview with him recently as well. I'm going to be doing an extra tomorrow. We'll talk about it then on OTS Extra. But it sounded like he didn't really want to dive too deep into the topic, but I get a sense of frustration that WWE has put Lana through 6 tables now, 6 weeks in a row. So he really isn't going to add any more insult to injury, because WWE certainly is doing that with her every single week. But as far as Miro goes, and through his point of view, I just think he's happy to be out of there. So no matter if right now he's taking a backseat role and they have no plans for him, I honestly think, Jesse, no plans in AEW is better than just sitting around doing nothing and being embarrassed on WWE television the way that they had him on Monday Night Raw last year. So it is something that I would take as a victory if I'm Miro.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, it could be worse, and he's seen worse. So,
Yeah, definitely. We got Serena Deeb. We mentioned Serena Deeb in the beginning of the podcast. Tonight, she beat Thunder Rosa for the NWA World Women's Championship, and she's on this show showcasing the title against Leyla Hirsch. I think Leyla worked in Stardom, if I'm not mistaken. She's been on Dark, I believe, a couple of times, but this was a very good match. I mean, it's not going to get the attention that you're looking for here if you're a fan of both of these women, because it really wasn't all that important on a show that had so many other things going on for it. But I will say that Leyla looked the part in this match. She looks like a female version of John Silver. She can absolutely go. She's probably at the same size as John Silver, too. And she could absolutely go. She worked her ass off against Deeb. Deeb is very good at what she does. Obviously, we all know that. But Leyla didn't look out of place whatsoever in this match. There were people on social media calling for Tony Khan to sign her. I don't really understand people's logic there. You can't sign everybody that has a good match on Dynamite. I mean, these people need personalities. They need charisma. You just can't throw a bunch of no-name women with no background into the women's division and expect it to thrive. It's not the way it needs to be. But this match was fine for what it was, and both women looked really, really good. They kept this simple, and this was Deeb, the veteran, and the rookie being led through a good match with the veteran here, like I said, in Serena Deeb. Hirsch used a variety of holds going after Deeb's arm. We got Hirsch with a pump knee to Deeb, transitioning into a German suplex. She missed a big moonsault, which looked very good in execution. Better than Charlotte Flair, I'll tell you that. Deeb pounced right away with 2 neck breakers. She then used an arm bar into a single leg crab and tapped out Hirsch, and that was it. Pretty much that's all there is with that women's match. And then we got Alex Marvez Jesse interviewing Hikaru Shida about the number 1 contender to the title, Nyla Rose. He said Rose is refusing to wrestle until we get Shida saying she wants Nyla Rose in a match. Shida said, Nyla, you want me, I want you at Full Gear. So we got the irrelevant women's championship now booked for Full Gear. Jesse, why don't you tell everybody your opinion on this women's championship situation at AEW? You told me tonight you don't think, still now, it's even further proven after tonight, that you don't think Nyla Rose should have lost that championship at all when she lost it. And now looking back at it, you're even more confident in that opinion.
I'm even more convinced of it. Think about where the women's title would be right now if they kept that title on Nyla Rose and just had her just demolish everybody she got into a match with, just kill them all. And fast forward to right now, we'd have a dominant women's champion. Say what you want about a division, it does need help. But then you can cap that off by saying it's because Nyla Rose destroyed everybody. Now, they're in a situation where Shida's done nothing with this title. They're getting ready to put her back in the rematch with Rose, and I would not be shocked if they put the title back on Nyla Rose. But now she's dropped the title and got it back over the last few months when she could have been a dominant champion all of this time.
Yeah, I'm starting to look at it now from your point of view, and I could see where you're coming from, and it's very difficult to disagree with that, but I thought they were going to go with Britt Baker to be, and I'm not even joking around with you like I usually do. I honestly thought they were going to go with Britt Baker versus Shida at the pay-per-view, but Nyla Rose is the number 1 contender here. I would not be opposed to putting the title back on Nyla Rose, to be honest with you. I mean, I love Shida, but I just don't think there is the investment there on AEW's end. Even with Shida as the champion, they tried. They did the Thunder Rosa thing. They brought in Ivelisse. They brought in Diamante. Britt Baker's back. They had Statlander. Everything was going well for them. They set a nice foundation there with Rosa coming on in and really giving us the type of women's matches that we want on Dynamite. And now they seem to be not caring almost, in a way, about the women's championship. And I honestly think Nyla Rose, especially now with Vicky Guerrero, which we haven't seen on Dynamite since they actually paired them together. I don't know why, but I honestly think that's going to be the new thing going forward. And I think it's going to be just a rinse and repeat thing. They don't know where they want to go with the women's division.
Yeah, we see Vicky on Dark all the time. She's still with Nyla. She's still there. They even post on social media together. They're still a tandem and everything else. But I don't know if you just think about where the title would be right now if this whole time, every week, even if they're just jobbers, even if they're just people they bring in NWA, just have Nyla squash them all. And then this time they could have built up someone like an Ivelisse. I mean, think about this time. If they get all of this time building up Ivelisse and Diamante, and then we get one of them to Nyla Rose, who's been undefeated this whole time, squashing everybody, we got a match. We got a dominant Nyla Rose versus Ivelisse at the pay. We got an interesting women's match. Well, right now, if she wins and then she goes to defend it, they're just hot potatoing it.
Yeah. I don't know. Listen, man, it's frustrating to see the women's division the way it is right now, but that's what happens when they don't care. I'm just drained talking about it and bringing solutions to the table, and them not doing anything with it. Shida deserves better, and I think Nyla Rose is going to take that championship, even though she hasn't done anything on Dynamite in months. There's no story about her earning a title shot. I mean, it's just fucking all over the place, and they should really be ashamed of the laziness that has gone into building this women's division.
Yeah.
Sean Spears, Jesse versus VSK. This was 10 seconds. Spears hit a C4, running Death Valley Driver. A mascot was in the crowd throwing candy from the crowd. Spears went after him, threw him into the ring. He was wearing a bull's costume, a bull head. And then Tully and Spears were about to beat the shit out of this guy. And then the mascot stood up, revealed himself to be Scorpio Sky, who gave Spears a quick TKO. Now, I understand Shawn Spears has been winning a lot of matches on Dynamite, Jesse, and the record on Dark, rather. And the record on Dark was brought to the limelight here on Dynamite. And after this match was made, Scorpio Sky versus Shawn Spears is happening next week. It kind of made me think, man, oh man, why the fuck is Orange Cassidy on the pre-show? This would have been a great pre-show match for Full Gear for the buy-in. Shawn Spears versus Scorpio Sky. And put Orange Cassidy in that triple threat match with Darby Allin and Cody. Now we're getting this match next week. And I just feel like it could be given a bigger stage on a pre-show like that to get these guys over a little bit more exposure. I don't know.
I think they have to set up Shawn Spears to line up with what they're doing with him. I think he's gonna land in the Horsemen. He's already in Tully's group, with FTR. I think they got to keep him strong. That's why his record's so good. Keep him on TV because I think he's gonna be a part of a prominent group on AEW.
Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
It certainly feels that way. He's very good. I don't know why they haven't done anything with him as of yet, but I mean, as far as permanent group, what do you mean? Who do you think they're going to pair him with?
I think he's already in Tully. He's with Tully already right now. He's with Tully Blanchard.
FTR, right?
FTR, right. He's already in the group. I mean, they're just going to bring them all together. Tully has his team. Tully has his FTR.
Listen, bro. That could be, like you mentioned before, Trios Championships. It could be the Young Bucks and Page versus FTR and Shawn Spears. FTR could be the Trios and AEW Tag Team titles.
They could. Absolutely. I like that, actually.
I like that idea, too. It's actually a little bit more appealing now with the Trios Championships coming into a possibility on Dynamite. With that being the case, we'll see. Shawn Spears definitely way too talented to be taking a backseat role here. So more of him on TV, I think, is a good thing.
Yeah, I don't see him in the back seat. I just see it looks like they're trying to put all these pieces together. But again, they only have a 2-hour show every week to deal with, so it just takes longer to integrate all the storylines, the parts, and put them all together. But I don't think they forgot about Spears. They got him with Tully. They're doing something with him. They got a gimmick for him. They got a finisher. They got something him and Tully does after every match. They got another team. They're not forgetting about him. He's 14-2. He's doing great things.
Listen, man, you mentioned another show for AEW, and Cody's mentioned this extra hour of AEW television possibly being a AEW Saturday night. That's my prediction for it, going back and taking a page out of the WCW Saturday night thing that I used to watch while I was over my grandma's house on a Saturday night, watching that late at night. But I seen a rumor going around on social media. I didn't see it in any of the dirt sheets. Somebody mentioned it, and it kind of, caught some fire on social media that with AEW introducing another hour of television, that Renee Paquette, Moxley's wife, and Mauro Ranallo are rumored to be part of this show. Now, I don't know. I doubt that's legit. I doubt there's any truth to that whatsoever. I think it's just some fucking geek on social media starting shit just because he wants his 15 seconds of fame. But imagine that, bringing Mauro Ranallo in to do AEW commentary for 1 hour on Saturday night, and then you bring in Renee Young, who I think a lot of people kind of thought was the best backstage interview with the most normal fucking personality back there without sounding like a robot in WWE. What do you think about that?
I think it's game over and AEW won if that happens. That's it.
You get Mauro, it's game over, man. Fuck that.
That's it, dude. That's it. They've already brought up Moxley's wife on TV, too.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
And Mauro is the best play-by-play in the fucking world right now. You get him on AEW, man. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, NXT man. Who? How do you spell that?
It's a wrap. It's over, man. It's over.
Yeah.
There's so many different things they can do with Renee Young, too, man.
I know.
So many different things. Backstage. They can make her an on-screen talent with Mox if they want to. They can do so much. This would be good.
I seen it. Hopefully it's something that actually catches some fire, man. Moral's a game changer. Renee's a game changer. So I'd love to see that happen just to stick it to WWE. We got, what was that?
No, I agree. Yeah.
AEW World Title Eliminator semifinal. This is the main event, guys. Last thing we're going to go over here before you hit the super chats and get the hell on out of here. AEW World Title Eliminator semifinal. It's Kenny Omega versus Penta El Zero M. I call him Pentagon Jr. It sounds a little bit easier on the tongue to say that. Unbelievable main event. These guys have natural chemistry together. Kenny is one of the best in the world. Pentagon, I mean, you know, if you were not pleased with the work that he's been doing and you wanted to see more of him in the way that you would expect to see him, how good he is, this is the match for you. You put someone like Pentagon in the ring with Omega, he's going to show you how fucking incredible he is. This was also very predictable, just like the Adam Page Wardlow match. I think we all kind of figured Omega was going to win this match. It was not even supposed to be Pentagon in this. He actually lost to his brother Ray Phoenix last week. But Phoenix was pulled from the match because of concussion. And it was a doctor's call, says Dave Meltzer. Everybody's saying that he had a concussion. They pulled him for precautionary reasons. Phoenix wanted to go, but Dr. Sampson said no. So he was telling people that he was okay. So everybody thought the match was going to happen, but Tony Khan obviously doubled down on that, pulled him from the match. Phoenix was in the match last week with Pentagon. He looked a little out of it. He looked a little glassy-eyed. Meltzer doubled down on this and said that, you know, Omega and Phoenix, it is so easy of a situation to book after this entire tournament and the match with Page is done. And likely there are plans in place for this to happen anyway. So when Phoenix is healthy, I don't see why we wouldn't get a Kenny Omega versus Phoenix match, which Jesse said, I even doubled down on that last week. I mean, that's a fucking 5-star classic waiting to happen. And Meltzer said, I'm pretty sure that they're going to do Phoenix versus Omega in another match stemming from all of this down the line. And that's probably with much certainty that it's going to happen. But if we go with the idea that Omega is winning the tournament, and he's definitely the favorite to do that, and the opportunity here to give us another match with Phoenix, kind of like the briefcase thing in WWE, it's like, well, you never lost, and people are waiting for that match. That gives you an excuse to do that match on TV and then do 20 minutes, just freaking go all out. And they wanted to do that this week, but clearly they went with Pentagon as a precautionary reason. What do you think about that, Jesse? Was this the right call to pull Phoenix? Would you have put him in there, or is AEW doing the right thing and kind of saving their ass after what happened with the Matt Hardy situation at All Out?
You know, I would have pulled him, man. But watching the match last week, first thing I said was, man, we're going to get Kenny and Phoenix. Maybe. Because it doesn't look like he's going to make it. But he had a nasty spill. So, yeah, I mean, as much as I want to see it, we all want to see it. I mean, I'm all about the talent and that health coming first. I mean, we'll see it. They're not going anywhere.
No, they're not going anywhere. Phoenix is going to get his match with Omega, so we're going to get the best of both worlds here. Omega came out. He was wearing his one of his licensed Street Fighter collaboration with AEW t-shirts. Omega took his shirt off, and Jesse, he revealed the AAA Mega title. He won from Ray Phoenix several months ago. I was even thinking to myself, I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm looking at Omega tonight. I'm like, did this guy gain weight? Why does he look fat? He looked like he had a little belly on him, and then he pulled his shirt up, and then he showcased the AAA Mega title. So I'm like, oh, that's the reason why. So Omega was kind of teasing Pentagon early on. Chop me, let me see what you got. Pentagon takes off his glove. I love when he takes off his glove and he balls it up and he plays with it and he throws it to the referee. He threw it to the referee. Omega caught it, slapped Pentagon in the face with the glove, and then Omega's like, slap me. I said, slap me. So Omega and Pentagon had a chop battle, and Omega began laying in heavier strikes on Pentagon. Penta fired back with some heavy palm strikes to the chest. So Omega got that receipt. Penta hit a backstabber and then a tope con hero. He sold the knee after landing the tope, which looked very devastating. Penta tossed Omega into the steel post. Omega then kicked at Pentagon's left leg. They brawled into the crowd during the commercial break. We get back from the break. They're inside the ring. Omega hit a Katara Crusher, followed by a Terminator dive, so he one-upped Pentagon with the dive. Omega celebrated. the dive, and Pentagon recovered. He hit a kick on Omega and a crossbody off the top turnbuckle to the floor down below. Penta missed a double stomp off the top, hit a sling blade for a 2 count, which was a springboard sling blade. Looked very good. Penta hit a double stomp on Omega, who was caught up in the corner. Omega hit 2 Snapdragons. Penta blocked the third. Omega hit a powerbomb and a devastating V-trigger. Every V-trigger in this match that connected on Pentagon was fucking brutal. Penta avoided a one-winged angel. Omega hit a leg lariat and another V-trigger. Omega teased a top rope dragon suplex, but Pentagon blocked it. Omega then teased a suplex to the ramp, but Penta blocked it. And I think we got something equally as worse as all those things. Probably worse. Penta hit a Canadian destroyer off the fucking turnbuckle on the ramp, and everybody was going crazy. Penta hit a package pile driver in the ring as if it wasn't enough on the outside. 2 pile drivers, and Kenny Omega still is alive here. He's back up. He blocked a pump handle driver. Penta hit an enziguri. Omega blocked a sling blade attempt with the V-trigger. Penta fought off another one-winged angel, used a armbar wrench on Omega's right arm, broke his arm, quote-unquote. Traded strikes back and forth. Super kick by Penta. Penta tried to springboard again, but Omega hit another V-trigger, and then the one-winged angel, and that was it. Omega advances to the tournament final against Adam Hangman Page, and that is going to be awesome. But, man, what a fucking awesome main event these two had, and that was a great way to close the show tonight on Dynamite. Obviously, Jesse, Omega was the right winner here. Did Pentagon even stand the chance coming into this match being a substitute for his brother?
No, neither did Phoenix. I mean, it was clear where they were going with this from the beginning of the tournament. We saw it, we speculated it, and they went straight for it. My question is, we look back at it, what else did they accomplish in this tournament outside of getting the result that they wanted? Did they build other story arcs to branch out from, or was it just, we got to get to Kenny and Hangman?
I think that was it. Just get to Kenny and Hangman. Wardlow had a nice showing in this tournament. Pentagon had a great showing in this tournament against Phoenix and then against Omega. So, I mean, I think everybody that was in this tournament we kind of knew was great going in, and they just kind of doubled down on that. Wardlow, you know, he had a great match against Jungle Boy, great match against Page. So it worked a little bit for him, but at the end of the day, yeah, it really didn't do much of anything but get us to what we kind of already expected.
Yeah, I guess it did. In that regard, I don't know if I consider it like an awesome, tournament or whatever. I mean, just because, again, I'm all about telling multiple stories. At the end of it, if they only told that one, I mean, fine, the matches were fine, but the overall tournament, they could have built more, branched out and did more.
Yeah, I guess the reason that they needed a reason for themselves to make the match. Instead of just booking the match and kind of everybody anticipating it, they figured, let's do a tournament, build a little intrigue, even though it's still kind of predictable, and give this, to everybody as a way to make the match for the pay-per-view. Now we made the match, and now, from here on out, we don't know what's going to happen. Either guy can win this thing.
They could. I'm pretty sure. I think Kenny's going to win. I see Kenny being the one to take the title off of Mox with this new heel run. I see people asking who's going to take the title off of Moxley. It'll be Kenny Omega at this point.
Yeah.
It looks like Kenny will be our next heel champion.
Yeah, totally. Guys, that is the entire review and all of your AEW news and rumors for the week. Thank you so very much for joining us. We are going to go over the Super Chats now, guys. If you came for the review, I will see you back live on Friday for SmackDown and the SmackDown post show right here on Off the Script. But if you guys want to hang out, you guys can certainly do that. Get your Super Chats on in. Jesse and I are going to be reading the Super Chats, so we appreciate you sticking around after the review is over. But if you're heading on out, thank you guys so much. Make sure to hit that thumbs up on the way out. We got 548 likes. Let's try for 1,000 before we get on out of here. And I'll see you guys on Friday for the Off the Script Pro Show for SmackDown on Fox. We got Wrestling Against the World becoming a new member. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. One of these weeks, man. One of these weeks, I'll have enough members where I can do a members-only chat for you guys. That would be awesome. Thank you so much, man. JP5150. Usually a man of many words. Just a $10 super chat tonight. That means he must have enjoyed the show. Thank you, brother. 60.
I liked it.
What happened?
It's awesome. I liked it. Thank you.
Yeah. 64 Pand Q, $4.99. Who are 3 dream opponents you have for Penta? How's it going, Kings and Queens? OTS is number 1. Jesse, how'd your weekly cleaning go with Britt Baker?
I'll be so happy.
You got a cleaning from Britt Baker? You didn't fucking tell me.
I'll be so happy when they have an established women division and they have Britt at the head of the Divas division over there.
My dream opponent for Penta. In AEW, I'd love to see some Cody against Penta. I'd love to see Hangman against Penta. And I'd like to see Pac against Penta.
I was gonna say Pac.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking for matches with Penta. I'm looking for matches with Rey Fenix, man.
There you go. Jacob Donnelly with a $10 super chat. So glad we're finally seeing the Kenny Omega we've been waiting for. Also, just out of curiosity, do you guys have a favorite Halloween Havoc match? Mine's Guerrero vs. Mysterio, 1997. I personally do not. That certainly is a good one. Jesse, any prior knowledge on Halloween Havoc that you can answer that question?
Oh, man. I want to go with... maybe who was it? I think it was Raven versus it might have been DDP. It might have been DDP. I gotta go back and look, but it was one of my favorite Ravens matches. It was actually pretty good. But yeah, a lot of those Halloween Havocs, man, some really underrated shows. I remember Hogan and Piper. Well, whatever that card was that had Hogan and Piper in the main event, which wasn't a good main event. That card where Raven was on it, that was one of my favorite matches at Halloween Havoc.
I should actually go back and watch a Halloween Havoc just for the hell of it before the season. I always loved the theme. I get why NXT was doing it tonight, but it always should have been a pay-per-view that's a staple in October. Always. I never understand why WWE never embraced that, but it is what it is.
Yes, you do, because it wasn't their idea. You know.
I know why. I just, it's just so stupid to me.
Yeah.
Pedro W with a Canadian $5 super chat. In your opinion, which of the Lucha Bros is the bigger single star in your opinion? Also, what is the other brother missing? That's a tough question to answer. I know Jesse's a big fan of Phoenix. I'll let him answer this question. Who do you think is the bigger single star, Jesse, and what is the other brother missing?
Neither one. Okay, there's no one biggest single star. The thing about it is they're both awesome. They both have a little bit different styles, though. Pentagon is more of a brawler. He's more of a hard-hitting brawler, and Phoenix is more of a hard-hitting high flyer. So who has the most upside as far as the singles? It's about how you push them. They can both go to a single star level. I don't think one's missing anything. They have two different styles, and they have everything they need for each style.
Yeah. That's a good answer. I'm going to go with that, Pedro. So there you go, bro.
Yeah.
Cesar Rodriguez, $9.99. Jesse, what are your favorite things about the Doctor? I'm assuming, I don't know who you're talking about. Doctor Who. He says, what are your favorite things about DR?
Christopher Daniels, he's all right, man. He's a veteran in the ring. He's a leader in the locker room. He's the head of talent relations, man. He's very respected in the back.
Also, JD, have you been watching NXT, he says. Not as much as I used to. Jesse says the same thing, too.
No, not as much. I'm not watching this week either. It got ruined.
If so, how has it been? Keep it up, man. You're both amazing at what you do. I'll watch NXT after the show is over tonight, guys. I know there are a couple people in the chat asking my opinion on NXT. I will be watching it while I lay in bed on my iPad. Mr. Cake, $2 super chat. What was that?
There you go.
Yeah. Mr. Cake, $2 super chat. That interview made me root for FTR even more. I'm going with FTR regardless because I don't think they should lose the tag team titles.
That's too soon.
Zero Pile with a $4.99 super chat. Is Thunder Rosa no selling the reason why AEW did not sign her? Well, I mean, that's what we talked about. That's Jesse's opinion on it. That's certainly not the reason why.
Yeah.
But everybody's going to have their own view on it. That's Jesse's view on it.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, it was 98. Okay, so it was 98, and it was against Chris Jericho. Raven versus Chris Jericho. Halloween Havoc, 1998.
There you go. Anthony Pride, once again, thank you for the 100 bomb, brother. We really appreciate you tonight. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Mr. Cake with a $5 super chat. First Mercedes Martinez, then Tenille Dashwood, then Deonna Purrazzo, not Thunder Rosa. They keep letting them slip through their fingers. They don't care, man. Thunder Rosa right now is a big question mark, so we can't really say that for sure yet, but the other three, yeah.
Well, Tenille Dashwood, I mean, I think they could be stars. I don't think they let any stars go except maybe Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
I mean, the other ones, don't get me wrong, they're not bad. They just weren't stars yet. They never made it to star level anywhere else, but it seems they have the potential, but nobody brought it out of them yet. Thunder Rosa was a star, though. JD
Storm, $5 super chat. You saw Thunder Rosa's picture was still on the title, and she retweeted tonight. I think she may come back for it on Dynamite. We'll see, man. I did not notice that little thing. I'm usually very good with those little attention to detail spots, but it happened literally this week, so maybe they didn't have an opportunity to change that yet. But if Thunder Rosa is retweeting, man, it could be one of two things. One, obviously, she'd be coming back for the title. She could be, in the plans for AEW. Or it could be one of those red herring things where she wants you to think she is doing something and she's going to do something else. So we'll see what happens. We can't really nail it down as being one certain thing yet. Steven Vandelli, what's up, brother? $14.99 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for the shout out. He says, glad to hear Abaddon will be fine. I know you two don't get it, but a lot of people do. Respect you both and definitely can't wait to see the living dead girl rise again, bro. Bro, why don't you just go ask around on a date, man? Slip into the DMs, bro. I mean,
she's not that good, man.
I don't know. Listen, I'm going to reserve judgment until I see again. Maybe she got better. I don't know. Kaz with a $5 super chat. I'm scared for both Hangman and Omega because I don't want both of them to lose. However, your opinion, Cleaner or Hangman to take on Moxley? I think Jesse and I talked about this, Kaz, earlier. We're both going with Omega. Yeah. D-Style Boxing, $2 super chat. He says, nothing. Thank you for the super chat, man. Christopher Elliott, $5 super chat. Pete Dunne returned at Halloween Havoc tonight and turned on Kyle O'Reilly. Keep up the amazing work, bro. Hashtag OTS for life. I heard about that. Apparently they are setting up war games. We may be looking at fucking Pat McAfee inside a war games match with the Undisputed Era. Because NXT has nothing else going on for itself. Great. Everybody else involved. Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Adam Cole. Those guys seem... Undisputed Era is the War Games Masters, but those other guys, Pete Dunne's been in the War Games. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, I could see them being two guys that fit in quite well there.
What the fuck is wrong with Sourix?
What is he doing?
Look at this shit he's sending me, man.
What is he? He's texting me, too. He's texting me. What's going on?
What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
He said Phoenix is too scrawny. Doesn't look like a world title type.
Oh, that's what he's sending you? Awesome. Here, I'll show you what he's sending me.
Shout out to Sourix, man. The best graphics guy in the business.
Yeah, here's his graphics. Hold on. Let me put this up. Here he is. This is what he's sending me.
What is that, Jack Black?
Yeah.
The fuck is that? He's dancing.
Your guy. This is your guy, dude.
Oh.
Your guy. That's crazy.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. We got Retro Kid, $10 super chat. Hey, JD. Me and my brother Tim are watching the show AEW with yourself and Jesse. Shout outs to both of you. Just received my BLK JD mask today. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Also from Mouthmasker, the 2020 sucks mask, he says, laughing my ass off. He also says, have a cold one on myself and my brother Tim. The YWC Tribal Chief is thirsty for that pumpkin ale, so am I. Sounds good to me, and stay safe. See you too, brother. You and your brother Tim, stay safe, man. Thank you so much. He actually adds another $1.99, $2.99 super chat. He also says, shout out to my BFF girl boss in Oklahoma. What is up, girl boss? From Retro 90s Kid and his brother Tim. Wilhelm Rupenshire, still my favorite fucking name in the super chats, man. $2 super chat. Nakazawa oiled the turnbuckle to break Sydal's neck, he says. Maybe.
No, they did that in BTE. You didn't see that.
Oh no, I didn't watch that.
There was a whole skit. It was the whole that's how Sydal slipped off from the top rope.
Well, listen, as long as I can make it funny, man. You know.
Yeah, before the show, Nakazawa went out there and lubed up the top turnbuckle, and I guess nobody ever touched it until Matt Sydal got there. And he flipped off of it.
Awesome. Francis Loop with a $5 super chat. Becky versus Ronda at SummerSlam is good. Yes, I agree. I talked about that on Saturdays off the script. But I would do Ronda versus Charlotte at WrestleMania, Shayna versus Asuka, and Sasha versus Bianca. Good card, JD, though. Where would Bayley go? What are you going to do with Bayley? Can't leave Bayley off WrestleMania.
Cannot.
Charlotte versus Ronda, I'll pass. We don't need to see that again. Charlotte has nothing to do with Ronda outside of begging to be in the WrestleMania main event. Shayna versus Asuka, I could see. Sasha versus Bianca, I could see. Could be a triple threat match, to be quite honest with you. Just add Bayley in there. I think WWE went about it wrong. I would have done a way desperately to get Sasha and Bayley to WrestleMania, but they failed on doing that, and then maybe do Sasha versus Bianca at SummerSlam. Becky versus Ronda doesn't need to happen at WrestleMania, because if you have both of them off the show, it is not going to make a difference whatsoever. You could save it for SummerSlam. Jacob Donnelly with a $20 bomb. I think MJF versus Jericho is slowly leading to a breakup of the Inner Circle. It looks to me like Jericho is the only one who wants MJF in, while the others don't, and I think it leads to tension in the group. I honestly think that's the way we're going about it, Jacob. I think that this is going to lead to the breakup of the Inner Circle. But like Jesse and I said, we just don't know yet. It doesn't make sense for Jericho to want to have MJF in the Inner Circle while he knows everybody is upset, willingly just going out there and being okay with a possible breakup of the Inner Circle. I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense.
Don't forget, this could all be one big ruse.
Yeah.
They could be doing all of this to get one over on somebody, maybe even Moxley.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Ken Lee Pierre with a $2 super chat. Who's overrated to you? Jesse? To you and Jesse. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Who's overrated to you and Jesse? Rhodes or Rollins? Who's overrated?
Neither one of those guys are overrated.
What'd you say, neither one of them?
Neither one of those guys are overrated.
No, Rollins is a cocksucker, but he's a great wrestler, and Cody Rhodes is great. Like,
yeah, neither one of those guys are overrated. Not at all. They deserve all the praise they get for the in-ring work, both of them.
Darius the Official, $1.99. You and Jesse are the best. Keep up the good work, bros. Thank you so much, Darius. Appreciate you, bro. Cal L with a $5 super chat. He says, good show, guys. As usual, Steelers are 6-0. Also, JD got in late, recorded Dynamite. Was it worth watching tonight? Absolutely, Cal L. Go and watch it, especially that Omega and Pentagon match. The town hall meeting with MJF and Chris Jericho. That was good stuff. Hangman versus Wardlow was good. Lots of good stuff on the show, man. Go back and watch. And man, oh man, we got a $50 super chat here from Edgar Estrada. Holy shit, Edgar Estrada with a $50 bomb. What's up, best IWC tag team? Another great review. Penta vs. Omega was great from beginning to end. The Inner Circle MJF segment was hilarious. Shida is going to lose her title at Full Gear. Do you agree that Darby should beat Cody for the title? OTS for life. Jesse, I'll let you take that one before we get out of here. Does Darby take the title from Cody?
No. I mean, and if he does, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna be out here bitching because Darby could have beaten Brody Lee for that title.
Yep. Yeah.
So
I agree, man. Edgar, thank you so much for the $50 bomb, bro. Appreciate you. You capped off what was a tremendous super chat night. Make sure you guys hit those thumbs up, man. 593 likes. Let's try and get 1,000. I know there will be 1,000 by the time this publishes, but let's see if we can get as close to 1,000 as we can in the chat right now. Thank you guys so much for making us the #1 podcast in the IWC, even though you had some fucking assholes in the chat trying to ruin that. Thanks to Hoop Media for moderating. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Mouthmasker.com/OTS. Get your black masks in stock. Bonfire.com. Get your t-shirts and go check out the Monday Night Raw review and the Off the Script podcast, episode 348 from Saturday. And I'll have an extra for you guys tomorrow afternoon, right before I go live on Twitch. The Greatest Fan 18, thank you for the £2 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Jesse, any final words before we get out of here?
Not much, man. See everybody next week. I want to say hi, Edgar Estrada. He thinks that I'd never acknowledge him in the chat, so I'm gonna make sure he leaves this day knowing that he was fucking acknowledged.
There you go, Edgar. We acknowledge you, brother. We acknowledge you, man. Thank you for the 50 bomb.
We
awesome.
cannot do this. We cannot do this without Edgar Estrada. This podcast is brought to you by Edgar Estrada. Thank you so much, Edgar Estrada.
Guys, it's that time. That guitar solo's coming up. Jesse and I are getting in the Mustang. Music is going to be turned up all the way, man. Bless that motherfucker. Let me see them guitar emojis in the chat. And Jesse and I will see you right back here on Wednesday. And I'll see you guys live on Friday night for Off the Script, the SmackDown post show, man. See you guys later. Edgar Estrada with another $20 super chat. He says, no need for hate in the chat. Save that for Raw. LOL. OTS fam. He says, love you, Jesse. Thank you so much, Edgar. See you guys next week, man.
Thanks, Edgar.